While we wait for just a few more attendees to sign on, we have a big crowd tonight. We have a few slides to show you, and then we'll get started with our presentations. We're so glad you're here. Okay. Um, Thank you all for coming tonight. I'm just going to turn it right over to you, Ralph. If you'll unmute yourself, we can get started.
Good evening, everyone. It's great to have you with us. We very much appreciate your taking the time to come and learn the progress of our favorite capital project. It's uh, it's been a real experience going through this. So many wonderful people, and I especially want to take this moment to appreciate the people who are doing the work I see these wonderful crew out in hot, hot weather and now in cold, cold weather, making visible progress in making this project happen. I want to appreciate all of you from the partnership for what you're doing and what they're doing. For our panelists, of course, you've had a preview of who's joining us. Thank you so much for taking the time to give us authoritative explanations of what's going on and what's coming. I really want to thank my board members on Purple Line Now, including Greg Sanders and Barbara Sanders, who are the patrons and patronesses of this project. And of course, the heirs to their husband, Harry Sanders' initiative in getting the project beginning. Tina Slater, who keeps track of the money, what there is, and Nancy Soring, who is our secretary and records our events through time. So at the core of this effort is Christine Scott, who is before you. She is our executive director and has been so for 15 years, Christine, at least. And she makes this broadcast happen and so many other things happen. We are deeply appreciative of what she does for us and for the effort. So Christine, in a season where very rarely does anyone ask for financial assistance, you're going to join in making an appeal for some support.
I am. There's a spoiler alert. Thank you. I have been with the organization 16 going on 17. I counted this morning, Ralph. You know, you might say the best part of my job was waiting for 2 decades for this thing to get built. But honestly and seriously, it is working with Ralph and the rest of our executive committee. They predate me on this project. And they've been around a long time, and I really always think that's our secret sauce for our success is just these dedicated folks. So what we do here at Purple Line Now, beside advocate strongly for the project transparency, we also do, many of you are signed up for it, bi-weekly newsletter. If you're not, you should. It's free. Lots of good stuff there, and I'll give a plug to to MDOT, and folks should go and sign up for their newsletter too. You'll hear news straight from the horse's mouth, and I think it's Purple Line MD. They'll correct me if I'm wrong. We do these forums. We've been doing them for 10 years, sometimes twice a year, to bring you some news of what's again, from the key leaders on the project. We are presence at hearings, at all of the community advisory team meetings. We provide support for initiatives, and generally try and champion the project where and when we can. Let's see. If you read our newsletter on Wednesday, you know we had some big news. We have an anonymous, somebody who wants to remain anonymous donor who is willing to match all donations coming in between now and the end of the year, up to $5,000. That's a lot for us. And so if we don't do galas, we don't do special events. We're not underwritten by anybody. We really just rely on our board and our volunteers and your generosity. So if you are thinking about a donation to Purple Line now is a time to double your impact. I'll put a link in the chat at some point here in the next little bit. And other than that, we really thank you for being here. That's my spiel, Ralph. Back to you.
Thank you, Christine. It's next my pleasure to welcome Maricela Cordova. From MTA, our public officials who are in this partnership with MTA and the corporation are just amazing, because they are what make the thing happen from day to day. And it's only in occasions like this where we're able to understand the true scope of their work. Maricela Cordova brings both technical expertise and a deep commitment to community engagement. Engagement, indeed. Maricela is an engineer by training and has spent much of her career working on complex transportation projects that connect people and strengthen communities. And you know that in the public press now, there's a good deal of discussion of how difficult it is to do projects like this in the United States. And Maricela is experienced, and we're lucky to have that experience being applied to this project. She's known for bridging a gap between technical detail and public understanding, making sure residents feel informed and included in the process. Her leadership has been instrumental in advancing the Purple Line, and we're grateful for her dedication to keeping this project moving forward, as it certainly is. So, Ms. Cordova, welcome.
Thank you, Ralph, and thank you for the super flattering introduction. I really appreciate that. And thank you, Christine, also for all the work that you do. As Ralph and Christine mentioned, my name is Maricela Cordova, and I am honored to be here tonight on behalf of the Montgomery County Department of Transportation. Among my responsibilities, I have been overseeing the implementation of the Purple Line and related county-funded projects in Montgomery County for the past 6 years already. During this time, the project has experienced changes and we have faced challenges. However, it has also achieved significant successes, and that is reflected in the current construction progress. The collaboration and partnership established by the Purple Line Now coalition with the project team has been crucial to this success. Ralph, Christine, and the entire Purple Line Now team have led public awareness campaigns, community outreach, and policy efforts, all of which are vital to the success of the Purple Line project. And I want to recognize their leadership and thank them for their dedication and hard work. Thank you both and the team. It is also my honor tonight to thank our future sponsor, the Maryland Department of Transportation. The Purple Line project is a vital transportation priority for the state of Maryland, and this is especially relevant for Montgomery County and Prince George's County. The project aligns with our shared goals for safety, smart growth, economic development, traffic relief, urban revitalization, and access to jobs for working people. So on behalf of everyone here tonight, I want to express our gratitude to the Maryland Department of Transportation for their unwavering commitment. Their persistence, endurance, and dedication to delivering the Purple Line for the communities it will serve are truly admirable and appreciated. With this, Ralph, I turn it back to you. Thank you for the opportunity. You're on mute, Ralph.
Thank you, Maricela, and we look forward to your contributing to the discussion as it moves forward. We now start a series of statements and presentations by our panelists. And if Ray Biggs is connected, we're going to start with Ray, who is in the trenches. Or I should say,
appreciate that, Ralph.
on the catenaries. It's wonderful to see the catenaries creeping toward Silver Spring. They're beautiful.
Yes.
Mr. Biggs.
All right. Thank you. Good evening, everyone. Hopefully you can hear me fine. I had a little bit of technical difficulties there, but we got it all cleared through. But good evening, everyone. It's truly a pleasure to be here with you tonight. We're excited about this opportunity to join the conversation. Good to see a lot of familiar faces, a lot of the partners we have in helping to deliver this project, and share some great updates on the project. As Ralph just mentioned, the visuals that you can see, because we're all above ground now and actually testing the trains. I'm Ray Biggs. I'm the Senior Project Director with the Maryland Transit Administration for the Purple Line. And Doran.
Hi, and I'm Doran Basso, the CEO of Purple Line Transit Partners.
All right. We can go to the next slide. And And next slide, those are pictures of me and Doran. People should be familiar with us by now. But tonight, we will give you a brief update on the Purple Line project, share with you the latest on the LRV testing, and answer some of the questions of what's happening with the Purple Line. Moving to the next slide, this picture is really unique to see here. So I wanted to highlight here a couple of things here. So since 2023, the Purple Line has selected a word of the year, as some of you that have been following us, using our messaging to convey the project's current status. 2023 was progress. Then in 2024, we focused on momentum. And for 2025, the team selected the year of transformation. This picture truly shows that year of transformation that we've all seen come into life throughout this year. As you look on the left here in 2024, this is the intersection of Riverdale and Kenilworth. In 2024, you can see the bridge there that was not connected. And now when you look at 2025, you see the bridge that's flying over Riverdale onto Kenilworth, where we've recently conducted dynamic testing of the light rail vehicles. And as you'll see tonight in the presentation, the project has significantly advanced in the last 12 months, primarily from heavy construction effort to, as Ralph mentioned, overhead catenary pole and wire installation, LRV delivery, and dynamic testing. If we move to the next slide here, we'll take a look at the project timeline. As you can see here under 2025, the project successfully began the dynamic testing, as I mentioned earlier, with the light rail vehicles at the Glen Ridge and Operations and Maintenance Facility back in March, and continues to move west across the alignment. More on testing in a moment, but just wanted to highlight that piece. But probably some of the biggest news that happened right before Thanksgiving was the delivery of all 28 light rail vehicles ahead of schedule to our Operation and Maintenance Facility. As we like to say, we're grateful to be able to get all those light rail vehicles down here into Maryland from New York. Major construction is expected to conclude around the end of next year. And then light rail vehicle and systems testing will continue to progress with that anticipated opening towards the end of 2027. So now let's look at some of the project progress to give some of the stats here. We're more than 84% complete with 76% of the track installed, including all track installed across the alignment in Prince George's County. And to date, we have 17 of 19 miles of sidewalk that have been constructed and installed across the alignment. All 21 stations are under construction with platforms completed and 16 station canopies installed. You can start to see some of the signage going up if you take a look across the alignment at the stations. Also, more than 74% of the OCS, overhead catenary system poles, have been installed. And all the light rail vehicles, as I mentioned, have been delivered. The Operation Maintenance Facility is fully operational with Purple Line Transit operators. And the secondary Operation and Maintenance Facility in Montgomery County is underway. The Purple Line is coordinating closely with WMATA at 4 key connection points to allow riders access to the ride and green and orange lines once we open up for revenue service. In Bethesda, crews completed blasting this summer with the excavation. If you got a chance to see our video, our progress video from the fall, you saw the video really going down 150 feet in the cavern this summer, removing more than 2.5 million pounds of rock to make way for the future connection from above for the Purple Line station to the Metro, the WMATA Red Line station. We move to the next slide here. I sort of highlighted this already, but I mean, who cannot stop celebrating these big milestones here, as you can see with the 28 light rail vehicles being there in our yard. Kudos to CAF, who really helped in delivering this for the project from the facility up in Elmira down to operations, to our Operation and Maintenance Facility. Just to remind people of how large these light rail vehicles are, it has room for over 400 passengers, over 140 feet long, space for bikes and wheelchairs, and most importantly, low floors and wide doors for easy boarding for the passengers to be able to get on. Now, how do we make sure these vehicles are ready for service? That's where testing comes in. So Doran will walk us through that, and I'll turn it over to Doran.
Sounds good. First, we'll start with the video on you can view the train in motion here because a video is worth or a picture is worth 1,000 words. So the theme of the night is the trains are rolling and what should we know? So I wanted to take just a little bit of time to talk about our testing process, where we are in the testing, where the trains are moving now, and where we're headed next. As Ray mentioned, we started testing on our test track back in March. And there's multiple forms of testing, and I'll just try to give you a little taste of some of the tests we're working on now. First is static system testing, and static meaning it's still. So before the trains are moving, we're verifying the track, taking extra surveys of the overhead catenary system, the track, is it where it needs to be? We're testing the power substations and the OCS and making sure everything's safe and the conditions are right for dynamic testing. So then we go to advanced to dynamic testing stage, and the first is live wire testing. So that's where the overhead catenary system is live. The power is coming to the light rail vehicle from our system, powering it up and moving it. So this is testing again the overhead power system, the tracks, and then we're also using this opportunity to begin train control testing. The train control system tells us in the control room and tells everywhere in the environment and the train where it is on the track and how fast it's going, things like that. And the traffic to rail interface, and this is more about how our system interacts with the traveling public and the other traffic lights, the gate arms, and the other transportation in the wider transportation network. So as Ray mentioned, we started in March, actually in test section 1, which was our test track. Then in the summer, we expanded to New Carrollton in August. In the fall, in November, we went now from all the way from New Carrollton to College Park, to the College Park Metro stop. And the next section we're planning, hopefully at the end of this month, is from the College Park Metro through University of Maryland campus to that Delphi Road intersection there on the other side of campus. So really exciting. The team's been putting in a lot of work. And again, just in the last few months, advancing testing to about 40% of the alignment is pretty impressive. Just quickly to say, during testing, we have extensive maintenance of traffic. These are all the flaggers, policemen, and safety, while these systems are being tested in the trains to just protect the traveling public. And the testing is being done at night, again, when there's minimal traffic on the roads to reduce the disruption. Some safety reminders. Awareness and safety is just number one, right? Safety of the workers, safety of the traveling public, safety of everyone. So we did just want to take this forum and this opportunity to remind people to please be on the lookout, especially in the coming days as you're traveling at night. If there's going to be testing, if you're in one of these areas, obey the traffic signals. Generally speaking, crosswalks, and look for LRVs. And also the beautiful overhead catenary system that Ralph mentioned. Those wires, if they're not live now, they will be soon, carrying quite a bit of current. So those are not they need to be respected and not tampered with. And then, of course, outreach is important as well. So as I mentioned, safety, where before we go to a new test section, we outreach to the local community, elected officials. We do door hangers if we're going to go through a residential neighborhood, visit the schools, local businesses, and participate in events like this just to make sure that people know what to expect and what's coming next when the trains are coming their way. So with that, I will turn it over to Ray.
Appreciate that, Doran. So I know there's been a lot of questions about the fare policy, so I wanted to briefly touch on this topic. MTA, we're continuing to study the fare policy for the Purple Line, and we will definitely set the fares just closer to the beginning of operations. The Purple Line will be comparable to other transit systems, particularly in the region. We will have validators that will be used to scan the tickets, and it's expected that the system will accept both Smart Trip and Charm cards, so that you have the ease of payment to go from one system to the next, to make the commute as seamless as possible for our passengers. Moving to the trails and bike lanes, I mentioned earlier that we had 17 to 19 miles of sidewalk that we installed, but we also are building trails and bike lanes. So the Purple Line project, outside of just the transit line itself, includes the completion of the Capitol Crescent Trail between Bethesda and Silver Spring. The trail will be paved and landscaped with new formal access points from local neighborhoods. The completed trail will include trail bridges over Connecticut Avenue and Colesville Road, and underpasses at Jones Mill Road, 16th Street, and Spring Street, making it a safer trail for the public. The completion of the trail into downtown Silver Spring will be a major enhancement for the local trail network, linking the Capitol Crescent Trail and the Metropolitan Branch Trail and the Green Trail all together. The project will complete the Green Trail along Wayne Avenue to Sligo Creek and construct a bike path through the University of Maryland campus to provide more cyclists and pedestrian access on campus. The construction of the Capitol Crescent Trail, or CCT, as we mentioned, is expected to be completed in spring or summer of next year. And as we mentioned before, we are working closely with our partners here that are on here tonight, Maricela with Montgomery County, who will be maintaining the trail and that coordination to open up the trail safely for the public to be able to use once it's ready for that. Moving on to business engagement, this gives you some examples of the signage that you can see across the alignment, where we support the small businesses across the alignment, conducting in-person visits, providing advance notices about the construction activity, open for business signage, and working to resolve business owner concerns quickly as we work to finish the construction of the Purple Line project. As part of that, if you go to the next slide, the MDOT began the Small Business Grant Program, which started earlier this year back in February. The grant is funded through 2028 with $1 million in funding per year awarded to businesses most significantly impacted by construction. Since it launched back in March, you can see here, if you add it together, we have over $1.5 million that has been awarded to 150 businesses through the first and second rounds. The third and final round of the Small Business Grant Program for 2025, just to emphasize that as for 2025, is continuing until 2028, ended November 7th, and awardees are expected to be announced by MDOT this month. So keep a lookout for that as those awardees get announced. I'll turn it over to Doran to talk a little bit about the community engagement and what we're doing here, as we just finished up our fall CAT meetings back in October.
Sure. I'd like to get through quickly here. We're almost done, so we can get to some good conversation. But many of you are aware of our community advisory team meetings that we have twice a year throughout the alignment, the outreach events we attend, both in the community, virtual meetings like tonight, and Purple Line Transit Partners Beyond the Rail Community Grant Program. So if you are part of a nonprofit group doing good work along the alignment of the Purple Line, please check the website, and we'd be happy to support you if you put in an application.
All right. And this is how you can get in contact with us. And Christine, you are correct, is purpleLionMD.com. You can also follow us at purpleLionMD at all of these various different social media platforms to keep up with what's going on the project. Back to you, Ralph.
Thank you very much. What a great catalog of accomplishment you show us. It's going on, seeing what's happening in other places around capital projects. It is so terrific to see the skill with which you've organized your relationship to communities and the beauty of the device that you're putting in place for us. It's just every day, it's wonderful to see what the progress is. Former Council Chair Kate Stewart, I believe, is the next speaker.
I think I can, there's more being finished. Eric's the start of this.
It doesn't matter. Go ahead, Kate.
Eric's in the middle of it.
We'll tag team. We'll
All
tag
right.
team. Go ahead.
Thank you. Thanks so much. Thanks, Ralph. And I just want to say thank you to everyone. This is a great update. And I think every time I get to hear Ray speak, and it's great. I think the last time I was in a meeting, we were at 83%, and now we're 84%. And so it's really terrific, and to see the trains out there has been excellent. I just want to say from the Montgomery County Council and and the community work, again, just thanking our own team, Maricela and everyone at the Purple Line. We've done many walking meetings over the last few years, and I will say that those meetings have been so beneficial for the community, for our local businesses, to really think about how we can improve the areas around the Purple Line as we're seeing the construction finally coming to an end. And we're just really looking forward to the Spring Street Bridge being open, as was mentioned, the Capitol Crescent Trail. I can personally say my morning commute is so much better with the barriers removed from Georgia Avenue and the pavement on University Boulevard. So Ray and Doran, thank you. I think my text messages to you have drastically declined. So I think that is great. As we are coming towards the end of some of the construction projects, really turning our attention, as was mentioned, to a number of the bike and pedestrian projects, particularly in Montgomery County. We have, as a county, set aside specifically money for a number of these types of projects around the Purple Line to make sure that we're really connecting the community to the stops. And if anybody's interested, we had a really great Transportation and Environment Committee meeting on September 22nd that went through a number of these projects. And I think that's really a lot of our conversation right now is thinking about how do we make sure that we're really have the infrastructure to connect people to the Purple Line stops, and continuing to support the businesses. Very much appreciate the work that was highlighted on the grants to our local businesses, and how receptive folks have been to making changes to that program as we're working with our local businesses. One of the things, and I do want to give a shout out to also the Comptroller's office. She has been instrumental in working with some of our smaller businesses who, because of COVID, because of the economic times, because of the times we're living in, actually hadn't realized that they were not in good standing with the state of Maryland. And so when the grant program came around, we actually found that some of them weren't eligible for the grants, and she's been really working with the businesses to make sure they can receive the funding. And then also working with local groups as well on housing issues, making sure that we have in place here in Montgomery County the policies and programs to keep much of our affordable housing along the Purple Line route. And thinking about how we work with public and private partners on that. So I just want to say thank you to everyone. I live literally in the middle, like many of you. Tina was on the call. I saw her before, of the Purple Line construction, and to see the progress every day, to see the artwork in the stations, and know how wonderful this is going to be for our community once it is completed. I just want to say thank you very much to everyone. So now I'll turn it over to Eric.
Thank you, Councilmember Stewart. Whatever happens on the Purple Line happens in Prince George's County first. Councilmember Olson?
Yes, thank you so much. And yes, Kate and I know have both been relieved that we don't have to send as many texts or emails or phone calls to Ray. Although we love you, Ray. So it's good to see the progress. It is really amazing. My commute to Largo. I go by the, Veterans Parkway, by the maintenance yard, and it was good to see over the course of the year, oh, there's 3 trains, oh, there's 5 trains, oh, there's 18 trains, oh, there's 20, 28. And it really is amazing now to see them running on the test track and at night. And it is happening. I mean, a lot of people doubted that this would ever happen, and it is phenomenal to see those trains going. It's almost as much as it is to see the cones and the barrels out of the roads. Um, um, and I know that, in a year from now, all that construction will be out of the way. And that's going to be amazing. And then we'll have a year of, testing. And we can't wait for that. Um, I want to talk a little bit about the bike ped connections and the efforts that are underway with that. Um, we know that there's not parking at the Purple Line stops. That's by design. This is a light rail. We need to make sure people are living near enough to the Purple Line and be able to get there, on bike, by foot, by other transit like bus. And I'm really grateful to the State Highway Administration. I want to, mention them because they, at least in College Park, we've advocated for years for that to be rebuilt, and it's been rebuilt for about a year now with bike accommodations, better pedestrian accommodations that'll get people to and from the College Park stop and others in the area. The PSAP program, the Pedestrian Safety Action Plan from State Highway Administration, I can't say enough good things about that program. And places like Kenilworth Avenue, which are really treacherous areas where we have a Purple Line stop coming. The State Highway Administration is undergoing a study right now for the PSAP program to improve the conditions there. We don't want people, having to walk and push a stroller or pull a cart, over curbs and all kinds of places with hazards like it is today. And so that's also New Hampshire Avenue. I know that they initiated the PSAP program over there. And a few other areas. So they're working together, I know, with the Purple Line team on those efforts. I've also been working on an east-west bikeway connection that would connect from the Lanham area across through the New Carrollton area, through the greater Riverdale area, and then over through Riverdale Park and College Park, and then along toward the north West Branch Trail, would connect about 3 different trails, but also would connect to the two College Park, two of the College Park stations, actually more than that, and the River Road station, the Kenilworth Avenue station, the Beacon Heights East Pine station. So we need to get people out there. We're working with a lot of partners on that, including Park and Planning and SHA and DPWT, County DPWT. I'm also excited about the River Road area, and I want to give a shout out to my predecessor, Daniel Glaros, who was able to get a COG grant and work with the City of College Park that is going to create protected bike lanes along River Road, which is going to connect to two Purple Line stops there. And placemaking, I want to talk a little bit about that and say a few things about the Central Kenilworth Avenue Revitalization Community Development Corporation. They're working around the Kenilworth Avenue stop, Kenilworth Avenue Riverdale Road stop, where the flyover is. And they're looking at how do we create a true space, a place there that people can come to and congregate, and it feels like a place where people will want to be. And how do we activate that area, and how do we make it a place? So I know Senator Alonzo Washington was able to get money for them to do that, and that is an ongoing effort right now. Very glad to support that. Kate mentioned affordable housing and other housing. We've been working on a number of projects that have opened. Just recently, as my staff and I actually toured the Alta in New Carrollton, which the Purple Line runs right in front of it, right near the New Carrollton station. It is so cool to be just inside the lobby and look out the window and see the tracks and imagine the train going right by and people being able to connect to that so easily. The Astor is another development. The Margot, the Atworth in College Park, at New Carrollton, the Margot and the Stella. They're wonderful housing developments, and most of those are affordable housing developments, and that's what we need. Just a couple more things. I think my time is almost up. I'm just so excited to be able to walk to the Purple Line stop and then take it to New Carrollton and then get on Amtrak and go up the East Coast and or go to BWI, not have to drive to BWI. It's going to really enhance our quality of life in our whole region and bring economic opportunities as well. And I know my colleague Winika Fisher represents District 2, which is up against the Montgomery County line over to across University Boulevard. I know she's very excited about this, and we've worked very closely on all these initiatives as well. So thank you, and we are very much looking forward to its opening.
Thank you, Councilmember Olson. A terrific catalog of accomplishment. It's always important to remember that the purchase of the right-of-way between Bethesda and Silver Spring was done by Montgomery County under the pretext of providing a bikeway, period. And it was the bicycle which led the route to get us to this day. It's important to remember that. And they are being accommodated. Maricela, talk to us.
Thank you. Thank you again, Ralph. Good evening again, everyone. So a little bit continuing with the same themes, but Montgomery County plays a vital role in the Purple Line project by hosting 10 of the 21 Purple Line stations and connecting areas that are key to the regional economy, such as Bethesda, Ladonsville, Silver Spring, Long Branch, and Tacoma Langley. And this is done through this new light rail. It facilitates integration with Metrorail's Red Line, like we've been talking about, local buses and trails like the Capitol Crescent Trail, which also, while also participating in planning for local impact, station access, and community benefits. So no question, this project is exciting and looking forward to all its benefits. The established partnership and collaboration between Montgomery County and the state are really crucial for providing essential infrastructure, stations, and local planning to ensure the success of this light rail line. And in addition to supporting the construction of the Purple Line, the county is funding 3 projects managed by this Purple Line team. One of them is one that is being discussed here already, the Capitol Crescent Trail. The other one is the Silver Spring Green Trail, and then the third one is the Bethesda Station South Metro Entrance Project. All of these are complex and critical to the benefits, to the collective benefits that the Purple Line is bringing. The Purple Line team and Montgomery County will continue to coordinate and collaborate regularly. We do this every day, a bunch of times a day, to deliver these projects. The approximately 3.5-mile, 12-foot wide paved Capitol Crescent Trail under construction by the Purple Line team will complete the 11-mile trail that runs from Georgetown in the District of Columbia to Silver Spring in Montgomery County. So there's no doubt how critical this is to the region. This trail is one of 500 rail to trail projects nationwide and is the most popular in Montgomery County. The Capitol Crescent Trail will connect, like it's been said here already, to the Silver Spring Green Trail and a shared use path. This is a shared use path between Spring Street and Sligo Creek Trail along 2nd Avenue and Wayne Avenue in downtown Silver Spring. And this is also under construction by the Purple Line team. Both of these trails will be owned by Montgomery County and maintained by our Department of Transportation's Highway Services Division. I know there have been some questions about this. We are not hiring a consultant to do this. We're going to do this ourselves. It's our facility to own and maintain. As Ray indicated, the Capitol Crescent Trail is expected to be completed by summer of 2026. So we're very excited for this milestone, and we are getting ready for this in our own way. Similarly, the team has advanced the construction of the project in Bethesda, including the third county-funded project, which is a new entrance to the Bethesda Metro Station located on Elm Street. And I know this has been a super critical, super impactful piece of the project. It's also, I'm speaking for the contractors, but I'm pretty sure they would agree it's the most or some of the most complex piece of the project. So we really are excited to see this come to fruition, and we can't wait to get the team out of our right of way. So this part of the project will be crucial for connecting the Purple Line with Metro's Red Line. The Bethesda South Metro entrance will be owned and maintained by the Washington Metropolitan Area Transit Authority, and it is expected to be completed concurrently with the Purple Line. I also want to take the opportunity to highlight the county's work on the Purple Line Station Access Study, or what we call our Purple Line BIPA project. Through this effort, the county is installing high priority bicycle and pedestrian improvements, more to what Kate was talking about. This is in areas near future Purple Line stations from Bethesda to Tacoma Park, within a half-mile radius of each station. And these strategies include area-wide improvements, bicycle lanes, cycle tracks, side paths, sharrows, all of these needed within the half-a-mile radius of each of the stations. Signage and wayfinding improvements are included, sidewalk gap closures near Purple Line stations, improved trail connections, and some other additional improvements to enhance safety and accessibility. So we are working on this at the same time already. We have begun implementing improvements at University Boulevard area and are extending west toward Bethesda with strategies that are not directly at the Purple Line stations, but aim to create future connections. So we will return later once Purple Line is done. We will return later to these areas to complete the tie-ins and all of the projects around the actual stations that have not been able to be implemented until the Purple Line is ready, so that we can avoid rework. So we're not done, but we're coming back. We are excited to see the art in transit installations at the Purple Line stations and are really eager to learn more about the next phase of the project. We can't wait to see rail vehicles operating in Montgomery County. The team has begun discussing testing and operations here as well. There have been several coordination meetings on this topic, and just so everyone knows, fire and rescue services and police Montgomery departments are also included in these conversations. And we continue to work with the state and our local teams to ensure a coordinated and safe delivery. So with this, I thank the Purple Line Now team for the opportunity to be here tonight and look forward to answering any questions that may arise during the general discussion section of the agenda. Thank you, Ralph.
Thank you, Maricela. Victor Weisberg, an old acquaintance of this project, is well involved in Prince George's County. Victor, do you want to bring us up to date?
Sure. Thanks, Ralph. And it's really great to be here and see all the progress that has been made on the project throughout the corridor. And we're happy that all of the track has been laid and the Prince George's side and catenary completed through much of it and testing all the way up to the College Park station. So that is really, really tremendous and exciting. A focus that we have really taken to heart is safety and access. We've been working closely with the state, with both SHA and MTA, and we've always been quite concerned that some of the corridors in the alignment, like 193, 201, and 410, are among the highest in terms of pedestrian fatalities and serious injury. So, we're taking a sort of a second review, working with SHA on sort of tweaks that can be made in readying for the Purple Line when it opens at the end of 2027. We have also been very moving vigorously on our Safe Streets for All grant, which is an award that we received from USDOT that we are now and has 7 sub-projects. Of the 7 sub-projects, 5 of them are in immediate, sort of in the immediate vicinity, and some connecting directly to Purple Line stations. I'll tick off a few. Metzerat Road, the pedestrian safety CIP improvements from 650 to Adelphi Road. And there are major apartment complexes in that area, and just a lot of bicycle and pedestrian movement, and that will connect very nicely to, and Councilmember Olson touched on the PSAP project that is really awesome. That that project is funded for construction and moving forward, as is the Metzerat Road project. So connecting all these different pieces to connect to the Purple Line will be tremendous. The next project is the Langley Park Neighborhood Bicycle Boulevards project, and that is creating bicycle-friendly and pedestrian-friendly improvements on the road network in Langley Park, which I think, as people are familiar with, is very, very densely populated. And there was a previous project that we conducted with CASA that addressed a lot of the street network within the community. This picks up where that left off and connects to both 193 and Riggs Road. And then a little further down 193 is the Cool Spring Road, Adelphi Road pedestrian and bicycle access improvement project. And that will help get that community improvements along Cool Spring Road, improvements along Adelphi Road, and improvements in the neighborhood itself, connecting to the intersection of Adelphi Road at 193 to get people to the station at Adelphi Road and Adelphi and Campus Road at the University of Maryland. That is going to help safer access and mobility in a big way. And then on the sort of the other side of or in connecting more closely to the station will be the Adelphi Road corridor safety improvement project, which um, will run from Campus Drive to Maryland 410. And connecting to that is the Belcrest Road Safety Improvement Project from Adelphi Road to Queens Chapel Road across the street from where the Hyattsville Crossing metro station is. So those five projects, we have two other sub-projects as part of that grant, but those five projects, which are all they've just passed the 30% design period and are funded for construction. So we are just really, really excited about that project and those projects. Another uh, effort that we have recently undertaken and working with WMATA is we have done a Purple Line bus stop access study, and we have looked at every stop in Prince George's County within a quarter mile of each of the stations and looking at where improvements need to be made. And I think we're almost complete with that report, but very, very excited that we have been able to zero in on exactly what improvements need to be made in order to ready access to each and every bus stop in Prince George's County before the Purple Line is opening for revenue service. And just echoing a lot of what others have said, and especially what Councilmember Olson has touched on, the economic development projects that have sprung up throughout the corridor are just really amazing and very exciting to see. And another grant that the county received was called RAISE, now is the Build Grant for improvements at New Carrollton, and that is a 20.5 million federal grant, but a $47 million grant overall to fund construction of a new train hall at New Carrollton, a revamped plaza at that side of the station, and then improvements to really make Garden City Drive a lot safer. That is, sort of my summary, and happy to entertain any questions that folks might have.
Thanks very much, Victor. There are questions that have been submitted earlier, as I understand it. And Christine, I believe you will transmit those to the panelists.
Christine, you're on mute.
How many times have I reminded you all to take yourself off of mute? What I was saying is we had submitted all of the questions that we received to the folks here tonight. I think by and large they did answer them, but if they haven't, or if there's other questions that come up as a result of this, folks should send them to us. We will get the answers. We'll transfer them to the folks on the screen, the most appropriate folks to get those answers, and they're always really quick. So this isn't it for questions, but I do have general questions, Ralph, that some folks have sent in that this whole group might want to participate in. So do you want me to go forward with those? Last year during our forum, we had the Maryland Secretary of Transportation And one of the questions we asked was how are things going? How is the collaboration between state and concessionaire going? And he talked a lot about weekly or monthly meetings, and obviously you are all on each other's speed dial, I'm sure. But how do you see those partnerships going over the next year as we move closer to opening day? And really everybody would have a part in the answer to that question, but I think folks are interested in how that collaboration is going and the partnership between the two.
The question is on the floor. Anyone may answer.
I can jump in and then hand it over to my colleagues. But yeah, I want to commend the MTA and Duran and his team both at PLTP and the Maryland Transit Solutions. And working with all of the components, and also looking for where there might be some gaps that still might need some address. Um, you know, um, it's always a it's a very obviously complex and involved project, but we really have appreciated the level of coordination and communication, having regular meetings and being able to work through any of the issues that have come up. So we do appreciate the relationship, but we also know that sort of now we're getting into the sort of um, final stages and making sure that the corridor is absolutely in the best place possible in order to be able to operate for revenue service.
Anyone else?
Yeah, I'll jump in. I'll just say that I think, it's a big construction project and going through some really dense neighborhoods and communities. And I want to say as we're getting to 84% complete here. It's I think we have a good partnership right now, and it's taken time, I think, over the years to find a good groove and make sure that we're really listening to the community that is impacted, and understanding that not all the communities along the Purple Line are impacted the same way. I think we still have a little bit of work to do there. At least in Montgomery County. And so that's just, I think it's an ongoing work. And I think the important thing is that, at least from my perspective, even when we have some hiccups or maybe disagreements, there is general agreement on making it work and making it work for the community. And so that's what I appreciate in working with everybody on this call, that this is not easy. It has not been easy living through this construction. And we are seeing it come to completion. And I think what has kept us moving forward and continuing to work on behalf of our residents and our local businesses is knowing that commitment. So I just want to say I really appreciate that.
Yeah, I'll add a little bit onto that. We are starting to see the conversations switch a little, and this is good. It's a great next step to start talking about final acceptance and how we're going to manage that process and how we're going to close out certain items of the project, and when can we do punch list on this or that other item, or can you come and do an inspection on this bridge or the other thing. So yeah, it's progress for sure, and it's exciting progress. So we will continue to collaborate. Like I said, the conversation will change and evolve into a different type of conversation, but I don't see our relationship with the state and with our concessionaire and contractor changing other than in a more positive way.
I could add just a little bit to what everybody's saying. Partnering and partnership is, I guess, part of the main word of the P3 thereof, with our Purple Line Transit partners, concessionaire, MTS, Purple Line Transit operators, then extending to Montgomery County, Prince George's, then others, UMD, WMATA, and all of that. So all of those different partners is what's really helped us to get to where we are today, and will continue going forward, as Maricela and Kate and Vic has mentioned. We are moving forward on those different things as we begin to transition closer to operations, because testing is moving along, construction is starting to ramp down, which is a positive thing, as a lot of people have mentioned here, and really highlighted that construction elements ramping down, which means we're getting closer to that revenue service, which everyone's looking forward to.
I'd say, I mean, we've gone through a lot of challenges. They change and evolve over time. It was the construction, it was the blockages of, roads being closed, and it was all kinds of things like that. It was the potholes, a lot of potholes, more potholes. And those have been resolved by and large. I mean, I'm sure there will be other things like that that will come up. But in the future, we're going to be looking at things like, our neighborhood's going to be asking for permit parking. Are there things like, like that we have to try to get ahead of and anticipate. How, do we have enough bike racks? Do we have enough, ways to get across the road? Do we have, a lot of those things have been thought about, but you can't anticipate every single thing. So we all have to continue to work together as partners, and we all are partners, to make this as smooth as possible. Yeah.
Yep. I think the patience, the optimism, the partnership of the people on this call, and many, many more. We don't always get it right as a project team, and we're the first to admit it. But this community has such strong leadership and the right staff, always optimists, always working for the best solution. And so, we do the best we can, but I think you're hearing, we're doing as best we can, and we'll continue to come from that place of partnership, communication, and what's best for the community, and hopefully just only strengthen that going forward.
Thank you. I've told this story before, but our son purchased a house in Council Member Olson's district, right in Old Town. But when he moved it, or when he bought the house a year ago, and his neighbors found out where I worked and what I was involved with, I got a lot of complaints. Kenilworth Avenue is gonna, our truck needs replaced. But I have to say, he got an email from those same neighbors about a month ago, and they had seen the trains running, and they are so flipping excited. So I do think there's a general excitement now that tracks are being laid, and hopefully people are able to make their way where they've got to go without as much of a headache. Somebody sent this question. I think it's quite interesting. I don't want to put anybody on the spot, but they wondered, looking back at the journey so far, and it's been a journey, what is the one lesson or a lesson from this project that you think will benefit future transit projects or efforts in Maryland? There are others coming down the road, or we hope are coming down the road, and it's a big question. Does anyone want to take a stab at that one? No. We can move on. But that I do think it's going to be a something that people will look to you all, but also to advocacy organizations like ours, to figure out how to champion a project.
I will say just a couple things on that. I mean, there are a lot of lessons that are learned. I don't know what they all are right now. I think we will have to take some real time and think about that. But I think we did learn that, phasing development of it, not phasing development of it, but well, it was kind of phasing. Like, when you work on a certain thing, things got changed in the schedule in order to accommodate summertime at the University of Maryland is a quieter time. And that was initially not going to be in that order, but then they switched it to that order to, closing down Campus Drive was a real pain, but closing it during the summer months and then coming back to it the next summer, those were things that, well, inconvenient. It was always going to be inconvenient, but really thinking about those things, upstream it made a difference. And so you do learn things along the way.
I was going to ask what the assessment is of the success of the community advisory teams. It seems to me that that mechanism has worked very well to have direct communication between the primary players, Doran and Ray, and the public. Is that true?
We're always assessing it. I mean, I don't know, Ray's probably going to say something similar. We're always assessing it and trying to do better. So I wouldn't say that we're ever satisfied. But I think to give people the venues they feel comfortable about, and if that's at a farmer's market, or if that's at a community advisory team meeting, or if that's just listening tonight and then deciding they have a question, I think, yeah, that's going to be my answer, which is we'd probably like to continue to try to get more. But I'm open to, if others have anything else to add there. But I think it's one of the many ways, and it's an important way.
Um, Councilmember Stewart just mentioned this, but I hear it all the time, and I know the answer. But I would love for Dorn, because I've heard you all explain it, Dorn and Ray at least, to explain why does it take a year? Why are we going to be a year in testing trains? Why is that such a long process? And we get that question a lot. So
Yeah, go ahead, Ray.
I don't know.
You went off mute.
I can start out and then I can go over to Doran. But a big part of it is you have to test all the trains, test all the systems, and really what you look at is pre-revenue service and really making sure that the trains can operate as intended before we put passengers on those planes. Oh, not planes, sorry, trains. As you can see, I'm thinking about all types of transportation right now. I heard a plane go over. But that is the key thing, is really making sure the system is safe for people to get on and that is operating as intended before we begin that revenue service. There's a lot of requirements that go into readiness for operations that are required that we have to do to get the checkoffs by all the different groups before we can even go into revenue service. And you hear me saying safety a lot. That is a big piece on it, the safety piece of the system before we introduce the human factors of adding passengers to the train so that we can anticipate any risk and try to mitigate that exposure as much as possible once we get into operations. But anything you want to add there, Doran?
Yeah, I mean, safety, of course, is number one. I think performance is something we also have to talk about. For a service to be used by the community, it has to be reliable. They have to be able to count on it. Oh, every 10 minutes, I know when the purple line is going to be at my station. And so a lot of the testing is also just how do these vehicles interact in traffic, right? Across intersections, there's 52 intersections. Some will have what's called preemption. Some the train can go through like as a priority. Others, the vehicles have a priority, or pedestrians. It's very unique to the communities and the intersections we go through. So it's also just putting all those pieces together for the first time and then seeing, how predictable, how reliable, and trying to meet, well, not trying, but meeting our performance requirements to deliver the best possible service as well to the public.
What are your concerns going into next year? I know there's a long list, but if the top three for everyone, really, what is the thing that's keeping you up at night before we get to opening day, at least for the next 6 to 8 months?
Maybe I can go first. But there are a lot of things that keep me up at night because it's such a huge project and things that we're managing. But if I could put one thing at the top, we sort of just talked about it, and that's this testing and then moving into operations and all of that coordination that Doran just talked about for the performance of the system. And then I'm gonna add just a little bit more. I know you said one thing, but I'm gonna add some more because this was talked about throughout everyone tonight, particularly with Maricela talking about the closeout and the transition of where we are with the project. So that is a key thing in making sure that we're transitioning from where we are currently in construction and testing into operations throughout all of next year. So in 2027, when we're fully testing across the alignment, we have that thought of we are going straight to revenue service. So
I had the opportunity 6 or 8 months ago to have dinner with the person who I believe the partnership is hiring to manage the transition into operations, whether it's the fee structure or coordination with MTA, just the general turning it into a business. Is that true? Is there such a person, and do you contemplate that kind of transition?
not aware of anything.
Yeah, I don't know if that was on the public side or the private side, but I think what Ray and I can say is just like we're saying, as the project transitions, the skills and staff that you need have to adapt as well. So, you can't take a road builder and operate a train with her or him. And so similarly, I think our organizations are dynamic and preparing for what's ahead. So I think I would just say that tracks, that we're hiring new different kinds of people to do the jobs that are upcoming.
Terrific. Christine, other questions?
I really just have, in our board meetings, Ralph, you know this, but we talk a lot about all the other things that the Purple Line is bringing, not just the trains themselves, but somebody way back, like 10, 11, 12 years ago, said that this was the largest utility reconstruction in the country. Bigger than I don't remember, but it's a lot, and that means a lot of new stuff for us. And I think sometimes we forget that in some ways. So, um, am I right? Is that it is was the largest, is the largest? I guess we're not quite there yet, but yeah.
I think sometimes we don't do a good job communicating what we do, but the improvements to the infrastructure, and that's, stormwater, Ray and I could talk about probably all day long, and many of our colleagues here. But yes, so whether it's stormwater, whether it's the water line relocations, sidewalks, and we have obviously spent a lot of time talking about bike lanes and pedestrian access, but there is a lot of other associated infrastructure and utilities that are being upgraded miles and miles and miles. And we're still doing it. We thought we'd be done by now. It proved to be quite a challenge. But yes, that is definitely something that's probably underrated.
I think so too. And that's really all our questions, just unless you want some final words about what you're most looking forward to, or in the next year. I already know what Ray and Doran are going to say. Let those trains run and get those test runs done. We do have other questions that people are sending in, so I will pile them all together and get them to the right people. And you guys are really responsive. You ladies and gentlemen are very responsive about getting them back to me or to the person. So I'll get them off. But Ralph, I really can, unless we have any final words, I can turn it back to you to close us out.
One feature of this project which comes continually to mind is the creation of the Purple Line Corridor Coalition and the Center for Smart Growth at the University of Maryland. I've been a part of that since Garrett Knapp invented it, and it, of course, has, under George Leventhal, former council member of Montgomery County, has a full-scale real estate effort going. They picked 4 targets: jobs, employment, placemaking, and just and what happened was that the 2 counties are much closer together now because they've assembled there at the PLCC a database for the Purple Line, and the county boundary doesn't matter so much. And I must say, having lived here for quite a while, This has been a very constructive affair where both counties have a common enterprise of public good. And you all have worked enormously effectively in making that happen. So we appreciate the partnership and the operations side and members of the councils who have supported that effort. And I think it's a side to the project should be exemplary for capital projects of this kind. So if there are no further questions, we will get back with answers to the ones that you've received, Christine, and distribute them through our website. I want to thank all the members of the panel to have taken the time and the seriousness to talk to us about the project. Another feature of the candor. No one seems to have secrets about this project, and that's enormously valuable in dealing with the public when they know or have a feeling that there are no secrets. It's terrific. So thank you, panelists, for spending the evening with us. And for those of you who have attended, we very much look forward to your reactions to this event and your questions. And we will do it again in a next at some point. Please stay in touch with us. And if you could think to support us a little bit, that would be great too.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks for bringing us all together.
Yep.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Happy
Thank you.
Happy holidays.
Thank you,
Bye.
everyone.
Happy holidays.
Good evening.
Yes.
Good night.